Hi guys, welcome to the Xplained show. First things first, please like, share and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really does help. A little bit about myself. My name is Ryan, and for those of you that don't know me or know me from my other channel, Commando, link in the description below if you want to check it out. I was a Royal Marines Commando for nearly 6 years. If you do subscribe to Commando, you'll know that I react to informative military-based content primarily. However, after countless videos, I quickly noticed that many of the videos that I react to are often factually incorrect, and I wanted to put that right with the Xplained show. With all that said, I can think of no better place to start than the Royal Marines Commandos. So, let's get straight into it. The Royal Marines Commandos, its motto per mar per terram, or more commonly known by sea, by land, are one of the world's most respected and feared commando forces. Throughout their distinguished history, Royal Marines Commandos have been the spearhead of the UK's military and have consistently seen action in every corner of the globe. As a highly specialised and adaptable elite amphibious light infantry force, the Royal Marines Commandos can trace its origins way back to the 28th of October 1664, when at the grounds of the Honourable Artillery Company, the Duke of York and Albany's Maritime Regiment of Foot was formed. Although we have to skip forward to the outbreak of World War II for what would eventually become the Royal Marines Commandos. Now, the first call for volunteers for services of a hazardous nature was in the earliest months of the 1940 war, and it wouldn't be long until these volunteers would see their first slice of action. During the Second World War, a small team of Royal Marines were the first ashore at Namsos in April 1940, seizing all of the approaches to the Norwegian town and making way for the landing of the British Army just 2 days later. Although deemed a success, many of those men who saw action in Norway actually had very little training in the art of guerrilla warfare, and subsequently on their return, Winston Churchill wanted his own corps of what he coined shock troops. Now, South African-born Lieutenant Colonel Dudley Clark, who was then military assistant to the chiefs of the Imperial General Staff, is widely credited with the initial outline plan of Winston Churchill's vision of a highly trained raiding force whose tactics would be based on the hugely effective exploits of the Boer commandos during the Second Boer War. His plan was approved on the 13th of June 1940 and it was agreed on. Thus, the commandos were formed. In a top-secret memorandum, Major General R.H. Dewing, the Director of Military Operations and Plans for the War Office, added more definition to the commandos' role, in which he stated that the commandos organisation is really intended to provide no more than a pool of specialised soldiers from which the irregular units of any size and type can be very quickly created to undertake any particular task. Now, the main characteristics of a commando in action are the following. A. Capable of only operating independently for 24 hours. B. Capable of very wide dispersion and individual action. C. Not capable of resisting attack or overcoming a defence of formed bodies of troops, i.e. specialising in hit-and-run tactics dependent for their success upon speed, ingenuity and dispersion. Although widely applauded at the time, some critics within the War Office argued that descending on the enemy, killing a few guards, blowing up the odd ship, pillbox or fish processing factory, and taking a handful of prisoners along the way was not a cost-effective use of army resources or its highly trained troops. Although later in the war, the raids grew in complexity and size. However, these early commando raids often instilled fear into the enemy. They so enraged Hitler that he issued the infamous Commando Order in 1942, which allowed the summary execution of any captured Commando. Now, Hitler actually personally penned a note lambasting the commandos in the Wehrmacht Daily Commute. In future, all terror and sabotage troops of the British and their accomplices who do not act like soldiers but rather like bandits will be treated as such by the German troops and will be ruthlessly eliminated in battle wherever they appear. With its growing reputation, the Commandos saw their first major mission at the French port of Saint-Nazaire. The aim was to destroy the only dry dock on the French coast that could be used by the infamous German battleship Tirpitz. Without a safe haven for their repair, it was deemed unlikely that Tirpitz would risk sailing in Atlantic waters. The Allies intended to ram the dry dock with HMS Campbelltown, an old destroyer whose bows were packed with explosives. In a coordinating offensive, the Commandos would attack the port facilities as the destroyer rammed the gates. On the 28th of March 1942, they succeeded in destroying the Normandy dry dock, preventing its use by German naval ships for the remainder of the war. British casualties were 169 killed in action out of 611 men on the raid. Fewer than half returned home. The Commandos would soon be called upon again, however this time with a different outcome. Operation Jubilee was a test of the defences of the port of Dieppe on 19th of August 1942. Around 5,000 men of the Canadian 2nd Division were joined by over 1,000 British Commandos, along with naval and air support. The attack was launched at dawn and covered on a staggering 10-mile front. The mission quickly unravelled. The landing force was spotted early by the port of Dieppe's defenders, so the essential element of surprise was lost. A lack of coordination meant that the Commandos were laden late or in the wrong place entirely. Air reconnaissance had also failed to locate guns hidden in the cliffs surrounding the port. Although the Commandos initially got ashore, they received poor support. Adding to the Commandos' woes, insufficient beach reconnaissance meant that many tanks got stuck in the sand's steep gradient and couldn't advance. Within a few hours, more than 3,600 men were killed, wounded or captured. One destroyer and 33 landing craft were lost, with 550 seamen killed. Dieppe is widely seen as a pivotal moment in the history of the Commandos in terms of how they would be deployed in combat moving forward. D-Day approached. The role of the Commandos changed from raids on the enemy coastline to support from regular army units. However, at the end of the war, and without notice, a decision was made to disband the Army Commandos. Demobilisation meant almost immediately, with some commando units being merged for short periods as numbers dwindled. The commando role would now be for the Royal Marines. The Royal Marines Commandos live on to this day in the shape of 3 Commando Brigade, Royal Marines, which is still very much a combined operations force with the ranks serving in it from the Royal Marines, the Royal Navy and the Army. The commando role would now be for the Royal Marines. Since World War II, commandos have become legendary in military history, and their famous green beret is an internationally recognised symbol of its status as one of the most feared fighting forces on the planet. The Royal Marines Commandos we see today are fully optimised for worldwide rapid response and are equipped to deal with a wide spectrum of threats and security challenges. Fully integrated within the Royal Navy's amphibious ships, they can be deployed globally at a moment's notice, without host nation support, and projected from the sea to conduct operations on land. Being a Royal Marine, the formation of the modern day commandos means a great deal to me. It paved the way for us to be recognised today as one of the greatest conventional fighting forces the world has ever seen. The coveted green beret will be forever remembered as a symbol of that very formation, and I'm sat here proud today as the owner of one. If you enjoyed this video, please take your time to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, making sure to turn on all notifications. My name's Ryan Forrest, and today you've been watching The Xplained Show.